Is it minimalism, financial freedom, or Swedish death cleaning? Why did I decide to go on a no-buy year in 2025? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down my thought process into making this particular decision. This is not just a passing trend for me, because many of the things that are practiced in no-buy year are things that I already incorporate in my lifestyle. However, it does have a deeper significance for me, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. Let's start with minimalism. I do not consider myself a minimalist in any way, because I do like possessions. I have possessions, I have lots of things, and I love my stuff. I do. So I do not consider myself a minimalist. When I think about objects, I also think about the word attachment, the attachment that we have to our objects. And if you're watching this right now, you probably also have some attachments to objects. I used to have things that I had sentimental feelings towards, or things that I felt kind of attached to, like my favorite top, or maybe my favorite book by my favorite author. And when I was in my 20s, I had some things that I couldn't just think of parting ways with. Now, fast forward to my 30s, when I started really earning money and buying stuff and having that financial freedom to be able to buy what I wanted, I started realizing at some point that with the fact that I do not have a very vibrant social life, many of the clothings and shoes and bags that I bought didn't get used enough. I have hair in my mouth. I'm sorry. Okay, back to the topic. So many of the things that I have didn't get used well enough. And that made me sad. It made me feel worse than the feeling that I had before I started being able to buy things. When you can't afford things, you feel terrible. You compare yourself to other people, and you feel that you fall short, right? Because you're not able to afford those things. And once you're able to afford them, you either go on the route of over-consumerism, buying so many things because you like how they look, or you might go the other way and just, being frugal. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I think I found a balance somehow. Again, like I said, I don't consider myself a minimalist, because to be a minimalist, you get rid of most things, you declutter and all of that. So I don't practice that. However, I still believe in some of the principles, which is reduce unused things as much as you can. So when I look in my wardrobe, I like to be able to see that most of these things in my wardrobe I wear when necessary. I don't have anything that I would say I've only worn once or twice. I've given all those things away, and I don't miss them. That's the truth. I don't miss them. So why should I have them in the first place? So if I'm not going out a lot, if I'm not going to parties a lot, then there is no need for me to have so many pairs of shoes or flashy dresses and sexy tops and all of that. There's just no need for me to have those things. I am also able to style my outfits in such a way that many people think I have way more than I actually do. So that attachment that I used to have towards my items, my personal belongings, I don't have those attachments anymore. I can easily part away with my stuff. Maybe not in the moment when I have to give it away. Of course, I would feel like, I want to hold on to this. But many times, once I give those things away, I breathe a sigh of relief, and I'm like, that's out. And it's not just clothes. That's also comes down to my furniture, the furniture I have in my house, home decor, and things like that. But why I also decided to go into a no-buy or a low-spend year was also because of my experience with family that have passed on. I'm going to start with my mom. My mom passed on about 11 years ago, and the things that she left behind, she didn't leave a lot behind. So it was so easy to take care of her, her estate, so to speak. It was so easy also because many of the things that she owned were useful. So it's either they were useful to me, or like her clothes, I found people that, needed them, and I just give them away. So it was very easy to take care of that. But fast forward to about 3 years ago, My husband's aunt passed away. She had no kids. She and her husband, they didn't have kids, and they were quite well to do. And over the years, they've traveled, far and wide, and they've collected a lot of things, including very important and expensive paintings and items, diamonds and gold and all of that stuff. And to be honest, it's been 3 years among 5 different families, so 5 nieces and nephews that she had. We're still trying to sort out her stuff, because there's so many things that we would see and we're like, oh, that looks great, that has so much value, but I don't want it. He doesn't want it, she doesn't want it. So I came to realize that people don't want your stuff. Even your family, not even your family. There might be some things that they might want, but most of the things that you're gonna leave behind, they don't want them, because it's either not their taste, or you know how we have a lot of things coming nowadays. Production is faster, innovation is faster than it once used to be. And so flashy things come and go, and our interests also come and go. So many of the things that we have, our family may not want them. So when I look at my husband's aunt's stuff, 90% of the things that she left behind have been given away. Well, maybe not all of them have been given away, because we're still sorting through them, but we didn't want 90% of the things that she had. Only 10%, because those were the 10% that could actually be used by us nowadays. So we're talking furniture, both antique and modern. We're talking dishes, dishware, or we're talking clothes, bags, shoes, all of these things. Many of them have been given away or thrown away. Really good stuff. I mean, good stuff. And, it just reaffirmed that feeling that I have to minimize the amount of things that I actually own to only those things that bring me pleasure, those things that have great utility for me. And so that aspect of minimalism, I respect and I follow, but I still like stuff. I like this plant, and I like that little lady over there. I've had her for, I think, about 8 years now, and when I look at her, I smile. I like it. It brings me joy. So I surround myself only with things that will bring me joy over a long period of time, not just a passing phase. So that's the minimalist aspect. The next thing is about financial freedom. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, it's time to give it a like so that other people can find it, and subscribe if you haven't yet. So for me, like I mentioned in my video about the no buy challenge, for me, financial freedom is that ability that you have, that you can afford things, but then you decide whether or not you actually want to buy them. In my case, I would choose to buy an item only and only if I actually do need it. Even with my gadget, I have a weak spot for gadgets, but I use them. I use every single gadget that I own. So I don't have that feeling like I'm wasting, because it's my money. I'm wasting it. I have to do things. If I'm going to spend it, if we look at money as something that has to be spent, that's fine. But if I'm going to spend it on something that I will not use, for me, I feel that is a waste of money. So experiences is something that I value so much. So I would spend as much money as I have on experiences, not all of my money, but I have savings and I have investments as well. So thinking about the future and knowing that you are going to be comfortable in the future, that's financial freedom as well. So my future is going to be comfortable. Maybe I'm not going to be a multi-millionaire. That's absolutely fine by me. That's not one of my goals in life, has never been. So even if I don't become a multi-millionaire, I'm still going to be comfortable, and that's fine for me. So what I do with my money the way I plan my money, my financial situation is in regards to living fully in the now, in the present. as well as being comfortable in the future, because I do not want to leave any burden on my kids. I don't want to leave burden on my grandchildren as well, financial burden especially. So for me, financial freedom is important. And so whatever penny, because what you might save, especially in my case where I don't buy a lot anyway, what I'm going to save from doing a no-buy year is not going to be life-changing for me. It might be for some other people. So maybe if you are working towards paying debts, maybe student loans or a mortgage, it might be substantial for you. But in my case, it's not going to be that much of a difference, because normally I don't buy a lot of stuff, right? So, but whatever it is that I save, I'm going to have a reward at the end. One of the rewards that I'm giving myself is going to be donating to a cause. I'm not sure yet, but I want to donate to a charity in Africa that deals with children, because I feel terrible about the plight of some of the kids in Africa. So that's one of the rewards that I'm going to give myself, because when I give, I find that I get a lot of satisfaction from giving. That's of course also one of the reasons why I don't have friends. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it, because I do like to give a lot of myself. I have a lot to give and I like to give. The final thing I'm going to be talking about is called Swedish death cleaning. If you've never heard of that before, I think you should go read it up. Swedish death cleaning comes from Sweden, as the name implies, and it is an old age tradition where people get rid of their things before they die. So it's like a wheel of sorts, but on your possessions. Rather than leaving your children to just sort everything out, you start sorting them out as soon as you can. This is usually done towards the end of life. So when you're retired and you're beginning to think about your estate and the things that you're going to leave, your legacy that you're going to leave behind, this is when it's usually done. However, nowadays in modern times, it's something that people have begun to do even at a very young age. And in my case, I don't think it's something that you have to consciously do right now, but it can become a lifestyle that will make things a lot more easier in the future. So circling back to my aunt's death, so my husband's aunt's death, and all of the things that we had to go through, I think that if such a thing had been done at that time, we would have gone through a lot less stress. Now, there are some people who would say, hey, I don't care, it's my life, it's my money, I can do whatever I want with it, and when I go, the people who are left behind, they can take care of it in their own way, which is an opinion that I respect. However, personally, from my point of view, the way I see things, and from the love that I have for my family, I don't want to see them, if I will see them, I don't want to leave that kind of hard decision for them. Because when I also look at some of the things that I inherited from my mom, I don't use them, but I find it very hard to let go of them, just because this was my mom and my mom gave it to me. On the other hand, my husband's mom, by the way, I think I met her when she was 87 years old, and I witnessed her slowly giving stuff away. Even to me, she would say, do you like this handbag? Or she would just say, hey, look, I have this really nice emerald earrings. Do you like it? It's like, yeah, I do. Okay, you can have it, And now she really downsized. But without that idea, it wasn't like she already knew about Swedish death cleaning, but I think she was very conscious of the fact that she had children, she had grandchildren, and that she didn't want them to bicker over her possessions. And so she decided to start giving them off one by one. And she only just kept the things that she actually uses. And that was quite admirable for me, because I know how attached we can be to our own stuff, our own possessions. So when I came across a book called The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning by a lady called Magnusson, where she details how the death of her husband made her realize that she had to start practicing this and putting it into her daily life. It was pretty interesting. It's an interesting book to read, to be honest. And once I came across that book, I realized that this is absolutely something that I want to do. This is absolutely something that I want to be a part of my life. I don't want to leave that burden, because you can also imagine that when you have children that love each other, that have a great relationship between themselves, money and possessions can become a rift in that relationship. It could just boil down to something as silly as, Mom told me that I could have that earrings, and the other person says, but Mom told me that I could have that earrings. Some misunderstandings, and that could drive a wedge in between brother and sister, or sister and sister, brother and brother relationship. And I wouldn't want to have that for my children or for my grandchildren. So I think that being conscious of the things that we surround ourselves with is important, at least for me. And I'm on a path to being even more intentional about what I buy and what I use, and along the way decluttering as much as I can. I don't have a cluttered home. I have possessions that I use. I have things that I love around me. But at some point in my life, I'm in my 40s now, perhaps by the time I get to my 60s or my 70s, I'm going to aim at having even less things that I have now. By the time I'm in my 60s, I hope that I can keep this promise to myself. I hope that I have 50% less of the things that I have now. And I'm just going to see what my kids actually like in my house, And if they don't, I'm going to include it in my will. Do not have any guilt about it. Just get rid of those things and just move on. So I don't know about you. What do you think? Are you a minimalist? Are you a frugal spender? Have you ever come across the Swedish death cleaning? What is your opinion about people who choose to live such a lifestyle? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure that you subscribe for more videos, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.